There are so many ways to invest in Splinterlands when you have some extra money. It makes it kind of confusing. What should we be doing with it in Splinterlands? And today we're going to be giving you guys a guide to show you how to best spend and invest your money in Splinterlands. So stay tuned. Hello, kamusta ka, hola, how's it going everyone? This is Luke, of course, with Luke Plays to Earn and another Splinterlands guide. Honestly, this is gonna be an interesting conversation because I think in the comments below, everyone's gonna have different opinions. And what makes this interesting is the title should be something like, what is your best way to invest in Splinterlands? Because there are many ways to invest in Splinterlands, and I think that anyone that tells you this is the best way to do so is a liar, because there's different advantages to the different methods. And so what one YouTuber might tell you versus what I'll tell you versus what the people in the comments will tell you is probably going to be all over the place. And what I want to do is just open up a conversation, give you guys my thoughts on what are some pros and cons to each different type of investment, and then let you guys talk about it in the comments so that we can all learn from one another, because my opinion isn't necessarily better than everyone else's. And when we talk about Splinterlands, there are many ways to think about Splinterlands and earning. You know, we have deck building and trying to win matches and get DEC and eventually SPS from our winnings. Then we can talk about the SPS airdrop and staking SPS, getting vouchers. We can talk about card packs. We can talk about land, tournaments. I mean, there's just so much out there. So let's jump into our handy dandy Google sheet so that we can talk about some of these areas and hopefully help you guys think about, if you have some cash laying around or some crypto that you want to put into Splinterlands, how should you decide to use it? All right, so hopefully I remember to put this Google sheet link in the description in the comments. And if you want to look at it yourself, you can. It's just the how to invest tab here on the Google sheet. Now, there might be more ways that you can think of to invest in Splinterlands, but these are the main ways that I see right here. You could argue, you know, some of that could just fall under the same umbrella, like deck building, you know, is going to get you more DEC and SPS, but you can also enter into tournaments. So things like that I've just kind of combined. And what I see is essentially 8 ways to spend your money in this game, or at least 8 main ways. There might be others elsewhere. The first one is you could buy cards to build a deck and win more battles. You know, if you get into silver or if you get into gold, you're going to be earning more and you're going to be getting more DEC and SPS eventually once SPS play to earn is out there, and you're going to spend less in renting to get to those levels and get those cards to win. So that's one pro. The second one I thought about for this one is cards are deflationary. You know, the more cards that are combined to make max level cards or even just a level 2 card, the less card total there is in circulation. So in theory, cards should continue to go up and get rarer and less cards being of each card being sold. Now, however, we don't know how is this going to be affected when, you know, Chaos Legion comes out and there's more cards on the market in general. We don't know if bear market, all that stuff. But in theory, because they're deflationary and cards are getting burned to create higher level cards, it should in theory make them continue to go up over time most of the time. And then third, as I said, you can enter in tournaments, and if you have a really good deck, maybe you can win some tournaments and get some good SPS, DEC, all of that rewards from that. Then the second one right here, which a lot of people do, I haven't gotten to myself, is card flipping. And I think a huge pro to that is you can essentially, if you're good at it, find cards, make a quick profit. You know, I've heard of people like, hey, today I found a card on the market, bought it, and I sold it within the same day and made 20 bucks. Okay, you're not going to be able to do that from just playing the game if you're in bronze and silver. But if you have some, you know, money to buy some cards and flip them around, it can be very quick profits, and I've heard lots of stories of good earnings being made this way. And the second pro to that is you can reinvest it into other areas. So say you make money from card flipping. You can use that money to either, you know, card flip more and more and more, or you could buy up cards to hodl. You could use that money to convert some of that to SPS if you want to stake it and earn vouchers. You know, there's so much ways you could do this because you're making quick profits that you could reinvest it into other areas. Now, thirdly, another way to invest and make money is you could just buy up a bunch of cards and you could rent them out. And the pros to this is, of course, there's little time and effort. You just got to set a price. You got to make sure it's being rented out and that you're at a fair price and it's actually getting picked up on Peak Monsters and other places. Right now, the rental market is pretty high because everyone's trying to get card power. Everyone's trying to get cards that are expensive and they don't have enough money to buy them. So the pro is you're probably going to make a decent amount of DEC renting out your cards right now. And 3 is just going to be a steady income. You know, if you rent it out, let's say you have a legendary card, I'm going to rent it out for 30 DEC a day. If that's a good deal, it's most likely at this point going to be rented every single day. And you can just rely on, hey, I'm going to make 30 cents worth of DEC every day, you know, assuming that DEC is still above 1 cent per DEC. Then the fourth way, the SPS airdrop, which you guys have heard me talk a lot about. The great thing about this is that you get a lot of SPS tokens right now with the airdrop points. If you have a decent amount of points, even for me as a small player, I'm still getting almost 5, actually over 5 SPS a day now, which is currently at $2.50 just for, you know, just having assets, right? You know, that's my third pro. So there's no time spent in this. All I do is click claim every day and I get more SPS, right? So the pro of this is if you are bullish on SPS, you know, think of crypto as essentially earning company stock where you get to participate eventually once they set up the DAO and the governance part of the SPS, you get to really participate in the company. If the company goes up in value, you know, let's say 5 years down the road and you're holding SPS all this time and making more by staking it, you're earning hopefully a lot of value. And who knows, the card game part of Splinterlands could, you know, fall down over time as other card games come out, and Splinterlands could take the money they've earned as a company, and they've talked about, hey, in the future, you know, years down the road, what if we made an RPG? What if we made, you know, a movie? What if we blah, 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 fill in the blank, is essentially you're taking a part of all of that because you have company stock essentially by holding this SPS. And SPS, while the amount of tokens hasn't nearly been out, you know, in full release because it's still fairly new, there is a limited amount of tokens. And so because of that, they're not going to be making more SPS. You know, while they're going to make more cards and card packs down the road for Splinterlands, this is it. The SPS white paper, they have a 5-year plan. And then once that 5-year plan is done, as far as I'm aware, there's no more tokens to be developed. And maybe you're thinking, well, they could just make another token in a different type of crypto. I don't really see them doing that because then they're competing with themselves. Really, if the company wants to do well, they want the price of SPS over time to go up because they're probably holding a bunch of this as well. So they're getting a lot of value out of SPS going up in price over time. I don't see them making another crypto just so they can have more tokens. That doesn't really make sense to do as a company. Now, the fifth option is instead of focusing on the airdrop, you could just take your SPS and you can stake all that. Of course, you can combine both strategies. You can get airdrop and then take your airdrop to stake. You can take your airdrop and then you know, like what I'm doing right now is putting it in a liquidity pool with DEC to earn even more airdrop. But let's say, you know, you just really want to focus on SPS staking. You don't really care about the airdrop. You know, really, the pros are the same as the SPS airdrop because we're just talking about the SPS token, both ways you're earning. But the third pro of this is that you're earning vouchers, which right now, vouchers are anywhere from $15 to $20 on the Hive Engine market. So, you know, these vouchers are pretty valuable. And if you're earning a high amount of vouchers per day from the voucher airdrop, well, then you're earning an extra bonus on top of that as well. All right, moving on the pros for number 6, land packs. You can go out and buy land on the Hive Engine. You know, right now you'll see it anywhere from like $680 to I think at some point it was almost even at $800. So pretty expensive, but the reason why is because this pro right here, it's a very limited supply, 150,000 land plots. They will not make any more. They have said this over and over. The only time they would make land is if they made an entirely new game with Splinterlands, and it was totally separate from the auto card battler. So it wouldn't have anything to do with the card battler that we know right now. For this reason, land is very scarce. It's very limited supply, and that's why we're seeing such a high price on it. The cool bonus about land is that you're going to be able to work that land once the land is fully implemented, which hopefully, you know, in the next couple months or so. And what it's going to do is going to generate NFTs for you. So you could use those NFTs in the game. You could sell them off and making it a passive income. But essentially, they're going to be spells and weapons that are on top of the card. So you'll put your cards into the battle, and then there'll be a second round where players can now cast spells and add items to their deck so they can see, oh, look, I'm playing against a full magic damage team. Let me use a spell that, you know, lowers everyone's magic. I mean, who knows what the NFTs are going to do, but they aren't making NFTs themselves. Splinterlands is saying the only way these types of NFT spells and items are going to be made is by players when they, you know, use and work their land to generate these NFTs. So that could be potentially pretty valuable. The seventh way you can make money right now or invest your money is buying packs to open them. And I already noticed a typo here. Use potions, not points. So you can use your packs if you have a lot of potions right now. Maybe it'll give you extra chances to get those gold foil cards or legendaries. And if you get lucky pulls, then, you know, who knows? You could buy up a pack of Untamed right now for $70 and get a super lucky pull and earn, you know, $500 card or something like that. Or you could wait for Chaos Legion for $4 packs, and maybe, you know, you open up some packs, get some legendaries, and hold on to those, and those are worth, you know, $100 down the road. You know, who knows what they're going to be worth. So really, you know, the pro is if you get lucky, I guess, right? And part of that is, you know, pro number 3 is that it's just fun. It's something that's fun about opening packs, which I talked about in my open versus, you know, hold packs video, that debate. Sometimes just opening up packs for fun is a good enough reason. You know, it's probably not the best financial decision, but if you want to have fun and see what you get, it is incredibly exciting, right? And then lastly, number 8, you can just hold on to these packs. So if you're waiting to buy Chaos Legion packs, which hopefully we get to do and they don't all sell out right away, you know, it seems like packs appreciate well. We've seen, you know, beta and alpha packs sell for hundreds of dollars. We see Untamed, you know, sell at $70 now. And so people are speculating, yeah, Chaos Legion, maybe at one point, one day, if we keep getting a bull run, could be worth $50, $60, $70 as well. Who knows? And if you're holding packs, you get a decent amount of airdrop points from them as well. So you're going to be earning SPS that way. So those are just my thoughts on the pros of these strategies. Of course, in the comments, again, leave more. I'm sure you guys know more pros and cons. I'm just trying to give us a couple to get the conversation started. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the cons, because there's not just pros to every single strategy. There's also downsides to each strategy, right? So one, for deck building to win, it's incredibly expensive to climb right now. You know, you're talking about $700-800 to just buy enough power and get some good cards to play in Silver 3 without renting. You're gonna, you know, eventually get less airdrop points than, you know, if you just take $700 and you stick that into DEC and hold DEC, you're gonna get a bunch of airdrop points. But if you're buying cards, specifically summoners and cards that, you know, maybe only have, you know, 15 airdrop points, you could be spending a lot of money and getting less airdrop points. You'll still get some, but you're going to get less than if you focus specifically on the SPS airdrop, right? So there's the backside or downside to that. Card flipping is a great strategy. Again, there's quick profits, but it's risky. If you don't know what you're doing, you might buy a card that you thought was a good deal, and then you can't resell it, and you're stuck with that card, or, you know, you have to take a loss on that price. And remember that in card flipping, you're usually paying a 5% market fee on top of what you're buying. So you have to be better than 5%. So you need to make card flips that are at least, you know, 10 to 20 to 30% profit, or you're not going to be making any money. And secondly, it's just time consuming. Honestly, I would love to get into card flipping. It sounds fun. I know a lot of people are making tons of money with this strategy. I even had some people, you know, give me some strategies in Discord. I just simply haven't had time to do it because it really takes, you know, dedicated effort to sit down in front of your computer, to scroll through the market, to learn what the market is, to know what cards are valued more than they should be, what cards are valued less than they should be, so that you can flip them. And while it's a great strategy, is if you just don't have enough time, like me, I have to focus on content creation, I have a full-time job, I'm married, I need to spend time with my family. It's just not something that I can do right now. So maybe that's where you're at as well. But if you can learn it and you do have the time, then this is a great strategy. Now, if you're renting out cards, the con really is you're just missing out on potential earnings when you're playing the game. Now, of course, if you have a massive diamond level deck and you're renting out just a few cards and that doesn't drop you out of the diamond league, then you're not really experiencing this con. But I'm talking about if you're specifically looking to buy cards just because you want to rent them out and earn the passive DEC, which I know some people are doing, they've told me in the comments, well, you're probably going to earn less, you know, DEC and SPS than you would when you are playing the game, and you're also not going to be getting a good chunk of daily and season quest rewards, so you're going to be missing out on those reward cards. So I think, I've never tested this because I don't have a lot of cards to rent out, but I would assume renting them out is probably going to earn less over time, unless you have a specific strategy where you know which cards will rent out for a lot of money. But I think playing with your cards, if you get into silver and gold, is probably going to be better than renting them out. However, of course, this is, you know, you're not spending any time having to play the game or keep up with the game. You're just simply renting out your cards and earning free passive income, right? Well, I guess not free because you bought the cards, but you know what I mean. So SPS airdrop and SPS staking, they're pretty much the same cons. I mean, right now SPS is pretty volatile, where we've seen cards appreciate, and a lot of people probably are now making fun of me because I've really focused on the SPS airdrop, and SPS has gone back down to 50 cents. So in theory, you could, have been building up your deck. You could have been card flipping and then just buying SPS, and you'd probably have been doing better than me. You'd probably be having a, higher sense of profit over the last 2 months than I have seen. But the reason I've focused on the SPS airdrop is because I care about the token, I care about the governance, and I care about the long-term utility of it. However, in the short term, it doesn't seem like it's going to be super useful, and that's okay for me, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe you're like, oh, it went down from $1 to 50 cents. Well, I'm looking for profits right now. That really hurt because I just lost half of my earnings, right? But for me, that's staking it and just looking to hold it for years to come, that's not a big deal. But short term, that is a pretty big deal. And the supply, of course, is about only 9/10 of the way done. If you look at the white paper, it's a 5-year plan of giving out the token through play to earn, through staking, through airdrop and stuff like that. And so a lot of supply isn't out there yet. So eventually the token supply will be ended. But right now, there's still a lot to come, which you could argue maybe the higher supply inflates it and the price is less unless there's enough demand to cancel out some of that increase in supply. Also, for the airdrop, if you're just holding, especially DEC, seems to be one of the best ways to get airdrop points right now. That could, crash at some point. DEC could be worth a lot less. Remember, it's supposed to be pegged in the algorithm to 0.1 cent. It's already 10x above that. And, as we get closer to the end of the airdrop, I would assume DEC price would go back down unless they're going to make other incentives to have it. So if you're focusing on airdrop points like I am with DEC, with liquidity pools, stuff like that, just know that at some point DEC price could go back down. Now, if you're just focused on the SPS staking, you're probably going to get less SPS than if you're focusing on the airdrop because right now we're only earning a 50% APR. And same thing as before, not a lot of the supply is out there yet. And vouchers, if you're doing this SPS staking for vouchers, well, after this pre-sale and the next pre-sale, vouchers are only going to be used for right now for bonus packs, not for buying packs. And while vouchers will always be used in some way to get some of those bonus and cool stuff in Splinterlands, so they're going to maintain some value. But after these 2 pre-sales, I would imagine vouchers being maybe $5 or less, maybe $10 if we're lucky. But I don't see them being worth $15 to $20 as they are now and for this next pre-sale when you need them to buy these packs. So if you're doing it just for the vouchers, know that maybe 2 months down the road from now, they may not be as valuable as they are currently. Now, some of the cons of owning land is, well, right now they're just super expensive. You're paying probably $700 worth or more right now if you don't own land already. The rarity is unknown. So kind of like you buy a pack of cards with Chaos Legion right now, these lands that you can buy off of Hive Engine aren't opened yet. So when you open it, it could be a common, it could be a rare, it could be a legendary piece of land that earns more NFTs and gets more value. You don't know your rarity. So you could buy a plot of land for $700, get a crappy common piece of land, and maybe, we don't know, but maybe that land is only worth $100 once we know that it's a common, card. Just kind of like you could buy an Untamed pack for $70 and get, 4 common cards that are worth $2 each and a rare one that's worth $5 and lose a lot of value. Now, we don't know that because we don't know what land will sell for after people open them, but your rarity is going to be known. And the NFTs they generate, they sound like they're going to be important for this second round of gameplay, but we don't know how many NFTs they're going to produce. You don't know how many monsters you're going to need to work your land. You don't know what these NFTs are going to sell for on the secondary market. If each NFT you produce and you can produce one a day and it's worth $20, then holy cow, you are just making bank, right? Like $20 of passive income each day. That's amazing. You'll get your return on investment very soon. But let's say it's an NFT and you only get 1 per week and you're out on common land and it's only generating an NFT that's going for $1, and so really you're talking about 700 weeks to make your $700 back in those NFTs. So it's hard to say. It sounds like, man, land is going to be super important and it is very scarce, so it's going to be valuable. But my point is we just don't know what the value is. And so there's a lot of question marks for buying up land, even though it seems like it's going to be important. Opening packs, of course, the con is it's pretty much a gamble. If you watch my open versus hodl packs video, most of the time when you open packs, it's going to be worth less than if you just sold the pack itself. And so really, again, I don't think it's the best financial decision unless you're doing it for fun. Now, if you're holding on to packs, the flip side of that is that it is less fun and your deck isn't as strong, because if you're holding on to packs for the airdrop points and for potentially reselling them down the road, well, then your deck right now, even if you open up the packs when the airdrop is over, you're forfeiting 6 months of cards that could have helped you win more matches, could have added power to your deck. So that is the con for holding packs. So hopefully the pros and cons of each of those strategies make sense. And of course, again, there's more than that. So put your thoughts in the comments below. There's more pros and cons than 2 to 3 for each of those strategies. But lastly, I want to leave you with some questions. As you think about these strategies of where you're putting your money, think about these questions to hopefully make your best decision for you. Again, there's no best single strategy. It's simply, what is your strategy? What do you find most valuable and what do you want to put your money in? So for deck building, you need to think about, can you invest enough power you want and get enough cards to make a strong deck? If you only have $100 to put into this game right now, you're probably not going to do well. You're probably going to get into bronze 2 anyways. So maybe you could put those $100 into packs or into getting DEC for the SPS airdrops. Right now, you're probably, again, going to have to put in $700 to $1,000 for silver 3 and maybe $5 to $8 grand for gold 3. So just know you need some fat stacks if you want to really start seeing those huge DEC and SPS rewards. Of course, even if you just put $100 to build a bronze 2 deck, you can make an argument that, again, cards could appreciate, and maybe your $100 worth of cards in a month or 2 is now worth $200 to $300. So you never know. It could also go down if Chaos Legion, floods the market with lots of supply. Maybe everyone's cards goes slightly down. It's hard to say. We don't know, especially with 2 different ranked systems coming out with the modern format and the wild format. We just don't know what the card values will be. But for the most part, you're going to need a good chunk of money to get into those higher leagues right now. For card flipping, I would ask yourself, do you know the market well enough? Have you studied what cards are actually valuable, where they're headed? Do you have a solid strategy to be successful in flipping? Do you know where to look and what to look for? Because if you don't, you're probably going to end up losing money. Renting out cards, you should be asking, are you renting out cards because your deck doesn't need them? You have some extra cards. It's not going to hurt you to get rid of them and rent them out to others. Or is it because you don't have time to play? Again, using your cards to play the game is probably going to earn you more than just renting them out. But again, if you don't have the time to play, this is fine strategy. This is great. For the SPS airdrop and staking, how valuable do you think this SPS token is going to be in the future? A couple of years down the road, is it going to 5x, 10x, 20x? Who knows? What do you think? What's your price speculation? Do you think the utility is going to be important long term? This voucher system, do you think they're going to continue to make incentives to stake your SPS? It seems like they say they are. Do you care about the governance of the company and having at least some amount of SPS to make your vote count in some kind of way, right? And same for staking, except for, you need to think about vouchers as well, because if you're staking it, you're earning vouchers. What are you going to be doing with your vouchers? Are you going to be using the buy packs? Are you going to sell off your vouchers on secondary markets to use that money to invest other parts of the game? For land packs, you need to be thinking about, are you going to be playing this game long term? Remember, land isn't really fully implemented in the game. It might be a few more months until they have it out. And even then, if it's going to be for generating passive NFT income, you're probably going to need to spend time in the game to get the worth for either playing with those NFTs or selling them on the secondary market. You're probably looking at maybe a year or so before a return on investment. I don't know. We could be wrong, but I would account at least probably a year from now till you get a return on investment, unless you just resell that land. And of course, are you okay with the value of land being unknown? That is a huge factor. Are you okay with that being a risk? For opening of packs, as I said in the other video, are you opening packs for fun as a financial decision? If it's fun, that's great. Financial decision, I think there's better decisions to be made. And holding packs, how long are you holding on to these packs for? Because when you're holding on to them, yes, you're getting the SPS airdrop, but you're not getting any other value currently. At some point, if you're holding packs to resell them, you need to know when. Is it when the airdrop ends? Is it 3 years down the road? You hope that these Chaos Legion packs are so rare that they're worth hundreds of dollars. I mean, who knows? Like the beta packs are, but it's probably not going to be that way because beta is going to be more rare, but you get what I'm saying. And then what are you going to do with that money if you do end up reselling them? How are you going to reinvest into the game if you plan on doing that? All right, now for my final question for you to ask. For any of these strategies, these apply. You need to be thinking about your assets. Which ones do you want to be holding in a bull market of crypto, and which ones do you want to be holding during a bear market? Because if you're playing this game for the next year or two, expect there to be bull markets, expect them to be bear markets, and how is that going to affect the price of your assets? Third question is, what are you going to do when other strategies seem to be making more? Are you going to be switching your strategy? Maybe it's worth it to switch your strategy. Maybe you see another strategy making more money than your strategy and you FOMO into it and you realize, well, actually that was just a bubble and now these assets went back down. And if I just kept focusing on my strategy, I would have been experiencing that price, going up. So you never know. But what are you going to do? Are you going to be FOMOing? Are you going to stick with your strategy? Are you going to just kind of watch out and decide when to switch your strategy? Then next, I want you to think about the long-term Splinterlands. How long do you think you're going to be playing Splinterlands, either in this card format or in the other games they put out? How bullish are you on the company for the next 3 to 5 years? If you are thinking, this is an okay game, I like it because it's the best now, but I see all these other games that are potentially coming out in the next year or two, and I think those games are going to overtake it, and Splinterlands isn't going to be worth that much in the next 3 years. If that's your case, well, then you should be going for strategies that are short-term gains. If you're like, man, I believe in the Splinterlands team, I like what they're doing, I see where they're going, and I like their direction, I'm going to be holding all my assets and building up stuff for the next 3 to 5 years, then it doesn't really matter too much what happens in the short term, you're thinking more long term. Then lastly, are you looking for a balanced approach? No one says out of these 8 strategies that you just have to focus on one, right? But maybe, like me, for me, I'm focusing more on the SPS airdrop because I think this is the best time that you're going to ever see to get SPS. Even though the SPS play to earn is going to come out, I think I'll earn more SPS in this airdrop than I ever will probably again. So that's my focus right now, and it's not my sole strategy, but it's my main focus right now. And so is your strategy more focused on one, or do you want maybe, oh, actually I'm just going to put a little money here, a little money here, a little into cards, a little into SPS airdrops, a little bit into buying packs, and you just want to spread out to try to hit every strategy that you can. There's not a right or wrong answer to that, but you need to know how you are going to approach it. Woo! Another big financial talk, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful for you as you think about how do I want to invest new money into the game, or maybe just to reinvest some of the profits that you're making in Splinterlands. What is your strategy? Out of the 8, what are you picking, or are you picking all of them? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your extra pros and cons to each strategy, and which strategy is your best strategy. Again, remember, there is not one single best strategy. I think there are multiple strategies that are viable, and I want to know what yours are. So tell me them in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys there. Have a great day. See you guys in the next stream or video. Peace out.